way. Some people have to look down all the time. These are people with a definite lack of confidence. You know, they don't have any power in their thoughts. There's very little force to what they're really thinking. They're embarrassed. They're wandering off. They can't look you straight in the eye and really communicate with you 100%. That's important. Watch yourself as you do that, and just notice how you do it. You might not even be aware of how you look away a lot when you're talking to someone and kind of daydream. You just make the casual eye contact, you know, so just enough so that they know you're talking to them. But work on that. Look directly into the eyes of the other person when you're talking. And another key that goes along with is accurately observe nature and all of its surroundings. Now, we don't do that. We go through life just recognizing things. Oh, there's a car, there's a tree, there's a stop sign, blah, blah, blah. Start taking the time to accurately observe nature and your surroundings around you without making judgments about it. Just as we discussed in the meditative immersion, let nature speak to you. Learn to observe and learn to hear from the world around you. Okay. He also has in there what he calls, or I call it anyway, the 10 ideas of good spiritual health. He calls them like laws and so forth, but I prefer to think of them as just kind of good ideas that are helpful for a person. You might want to write these down even on a piece of paper and just kind of hang it on the wall, because these are basic ideas that you can keep aware of and work into your daily or weekly practice of life, and they will be of benefit to you to help you keep kind of a healthier, happier spiritual life. The first one is to spend a lot of time out of doors. Take in as much fresh air as possible. Take long hikes or strolls into the woods. Now, this is especially a good one for me because I've spent the last 8-10 years being a computer programmer by profession, and I have spent more than my share of time in a small room somewhere at a computer screen, forgetting what time it is and what it looks like outside. So it's kind of a lonely profession where most of my work is just by myself. And I continually have to tell myself to go outside, to stop every now and then. So I have to force myself to go get on my bicycle and ride to the post office or do something. So I'm a little guilty of this one. I keep rationalizing. I got to work a little harder, just a little longer. Got to finish this project, make just a little bit more money, get a few more hours in. Push, push, push. So I'm kind of guilty of that one. It's important to get out of doors, to mix with nature, to get out of your room, out of your office where you're at. You need fresh air. Besides, you need the sun to hit you at least an hour a day. The sun helps program the cells in your body, which keeps your body clock in balance. If you stay out of the sun too much, your body clock gets off. You start wanting to stay up irregular hours, and your sleep suffers from it. So the sun has to hit your body, usually a minimum of an hour a day. So get outside. Okay? Number 2, shout out loud. Use a name that has special feeling for you, like a loved one or a role model. Now, here I don't mean in the house. I mean taking walks. Go out and take walks in the woods and so forth, and go hiking or wherever you need to, or maybe if you're a jogger, whatever you like to do, and shout out loud. Maybe shout a name of somebody that you like, or Rocky, or Marilyn Monroe, or whatever you want to shout out there. The idea is that by shouting, you loosen up the depressing feelings that are inside of you, and that tightness we get from being too enclosed or too negative about life. It'll make you feel freer, looser, and it'll make you act more cheerful. And if you have a sense of humor, you'll probably wind up laughing at yourself. Maybe you want to yell Bugs Bunny or Peter Rabbit or something silly that makes you, laugh a little bit. So what you're doing here is you're breaking an attitude. If you find yourself locked inside too much, not getting out enough, or things aren't going well, go for a nice walk and shout and yell. And you'll find that, it will change your attitude. While you're out hiking, sing happy songs. Try doing that. It works about the same as like the voice, and when you do it, sing out very loudly. Besides singing, rhythms and so forth and tones are good for the body. The sound, the vibration goes through the body and changes how you feel about things. Singing is good for us. Doesn't make any difference if you're any good at it. Doesn't make any difference if you can't carry a tune at all. Probably helps, because then if you can't sing at all, you'll probably break up laughing at yourself trying to sing something. But sing. It's exhilarating. It gets you into a cheerful, positive state of mind. Most importantly, it breaks up negative, depressed, closed-minded thinking. Try to walk barefoot as much as possible. I talked earlier about reflexology and how all of your the nerve endings in your feet are connected to different organs in your body. Do that. Go out and walk on uneven grassy ground. Take those shoes off. And even take short runs if you want to, to jog the body up a little bit and stimulate your feet and your legs. After you've been walking or running, whatever you like to do, stop and rest on your walks. And when you stop and rest, engage in a beautiful daydream that causes you just to get lost in your fantasy. Maybe you see yourself as the world's greatest runner, the world's greatest scientist. You've just solved the mysteries of life or whatever it is. But learn to daydream well. Daydreams, we're not talking about, creating worlds that are impossible. I'm not talking about being led astray by fantasies. You don't want to become a fantasy head. The idea is, though, you want to be able to daydream and think of good ideas. Most of all of our good ideas come from daydreaming the impossible and knowing that it is possible, that we can go out and do it. So learn to daydream well. Just don't lose sight of reality. Okay, number 6, observe everything in detail when you're out there walking around. Look at those flowers and animals and trees and birds and everything that you're out there looking at. Precise observation of nature loosens up all these neutral and positive thoughts that are inside of you, kind of makes them flow around. Thereby they fasten themselves in your memory and develop concentration, and that leads to powerful thinking. In other words, what we want to do, carefully observe nature. Let it talk to you. See things as they really are. It will open up new ideas. It will break down some of your closed-mindedness that you have, and it forces your thinking to become more concentrated because you really see things the way they are. Number 7 is think honestly about your own actions and words. Be a critic of yourself. Most of us can't face ourselves. Most of us go out in the world and just say whatever we need to say to get ahead, or, we look one way or another, or we dress to impress people. And in our day-to-day society, a certain amount of that seems to be needed, if you think that way. But for the most of us, for everybody, it's important that you be honest with yourself. Maybe you want to spend 2 or 3 minutes in front of the mirror every morning with no clothes on, just looking at yourself and being honest about yourself. Look in the mirror, look at your face, your hands, your belly, your rear end, your legs, your lips, whatever, and take a close analysis of yourself and be honest with yourself. The body you are living in is a reflection of how you think. Okay? Dwell on that one for a while. Number 8, secrets should be kept with confidence and integrity. If somebody tells you something and asks you to keep it a secret, most people can't do it. Or they might just say, well, don't tell anybody that, So you think later on, well, it wasn't a big secret. I'll just tell a little bit of that. That's pretty interesting stuff. Don't do that. Learn to really have integrity of self, with yourself and with your friends. It's important because as you build integrity, you know you have integrity, and that reaffirms your self-reliance and confidence about yourself. You feel better about yourself when you have integrity, because you know it. Work on that. It's a very strong thing. Number 9, always speak slowly and deliberately, but of course with control and friendliness. Well, we naturally speak more with control and more deliberately as the world becomes clearer to us. As you can approach life with clearer thinking, powerful thinking, and as you understand yourself better, you naturally will do that. But as you're working towards that, you can control yourself. Speak at a speed which is comfortable for you. Don't speak real fast where you kind of run off and then you kind of stutter, and you forget what you're going to say. A lot of people do that. They speak nervously, or they go so fast they kind of have to say something 4 times before they ever get their point across because they can't express themselves. Well, slow your mouth down so it's matched up with the speed of your brain. Okay? Number 10, absolute honesty and integrity with yourself and others is most important. Well, that's a dandy. That's probably the best one of all of them. If anything, we need a little more integrity in our world. Most people, unfortunately, have rationalized that integrity is not a big deal anymore. Money is the big deal. And we do whatever we need to do or whatever we need to say to get the money. If we're a head of a corporation or a doctor, an attorney, or an architect, whatever we are, for most of us, we've learned to kind of skid around the rules and so forth and do whatever we need to do to get a little more money. Well, we know it's not the right thing to do, but it's the kind of society that we live in, at least right now. It may be changing rapidly. So that's 10 pretty good ideas for you there to help you through life. You may have your own way of wording them. You may even have, some of your own, but you might want to make out a list and hang it on the wall of just suggestive ideas based on these comments that kind of help you keep aware of yourself and your growth and how healthy you are in life. Okay, we're just about to wrap up these 2 tapes on developing and care of the psyche. I have a few ideas of my own I kind of want to give you in summary here for you to think about. Maybe just a few guidelines, kind of step by step, one you can go through to kind of like changing your life. And you don't need to write these down or anything unless you want to. First of all, I think you should start by developing a clear understanding and awareness of the idea of creation and its logic. On the 2 creation tapes, we go over that very clearly and explain about the idea of creation. I think it's important that we understand the logic of how our universe is coming forward. Of course, at this point, you and I technically don't have any way to verify that this is really happening, but start to have a little faith that later on that your spirit will develop powerfully enough to actually come in connection with it to reaffirm the idea. Look over and dwell on the idea of the 7 steps of development of human life. Think about it until it's clear and meaningful. Read over those steps and think about what they mean. Start enforcing the idea in your mind that we are spiritual beings going through material lives for a purpose and for a reason. That you and your persona right now, your personality, are actually adding information to this spiritual energy form. That you are a part of it. You might even want to consider the fact that once you pass on, that's all the input you as a personality can add to this spirit. What are you leaving for the next personality that your spirit's going to create? What did the last one leave for you? So you might want to look at it like that. Learn to practice the meditation exercise. That exercise, breathing through your nose, is wonderful for concentration. You have to learn to be able to concentrate on a single thing. If you cannot focus on thoughts and concentrate on them, you can't build any sort of power in your thinking. You'll just run from thought to thought very fleetingly. Concentration is very important. Learn to develop clear thinking through your keen observation of the world around you. And that'll get better as you go along. Learn to really observe things and let them speak to you. See them as they really are and learn from them. Start using the meditation immersion techniques, using the candle, the glass, or whichever you like, and learn to actually immerse yourself down using the colors. Program your subconscious to understand what the colors mean and put some time into it. Do it regularly, every day, perhaps for 10 or 15 minutes or whatever you like to do. And you will notice immense force of self-will, and it will start to change your life. Learn to be honest with yourself and work on self-improvement. That's a real tough one. We all think we're going to do that, but most of us are so busy just being ourselves that we don't have any time for self-improvement. I'm hopeful that a lot of the things that I've been talking about here can provide you some inspiration and some logic and so forth, building blocks to start on your own self-improvement. We all want a happier, better life. Examine your own human condition, your emotions. Find where your psyche is. Sit down with a piece of paper and write out who you are. Write out all about your feelings and attitudes about life, your approach to life. That's what your psyche is. Learn to use the boomerang. Concentrate very strongly on a certain thought and send it out and wait. Wait for those feelings to come back. That boomerang effect that comes back that gives you a different kind of charge or idea about the thought that you sent out. And then learn to be honest with it. You can start reprogramming yourself then through meditation and daydreaming. When you're honest with discovery about yourself and you find that you have certain problems in certain areas, certain things you want to better about yourself, you can certainly do it. Develop the pause, as I call it, to constantly access your higher self and make it part of your daily life. Through meditation, you'll learn to be able to concentrate and develop that pause, that split second, where you've told yourself to allow the wisdom from your spiritual self to come over and give you a hunch, give you a good idea, and observe things very clearly before you move on. Constantly see all other life forms as a spiritual part of creation. They are. I mean, we're sharing this planet and this universe with all sorts of living beings. Right now we're mostly concerned on our own planet, but start looking most importantly at other people as spiritual beings on their own path of evolution. Don't look at it with your material mind, making value judgments about, oh, they're fat or they're ugly or they're black or they're blue, whatever. Catch yourself doing this and stop it. Start looking at this